he does is catch the football. And that is beautiful. That's why I came to West Virginia, man.
Ding dong, the witch is dead in Arizona.
It's a totally energized Heinz Field, the power of the Renegade song.
The backyard brawl, man, against Pitt. Look at that. Oh, there's Ron Wolfley.
Wow! They came after Donovan McNabb, went after him, they played to win the game.
Everybody's going bonkers, even the referees.
Oh, those look like some sticky gloves right there. We talk about 50-50. Right now it's 50-50. Who's going to get it?
Game came with cover zero, man across the board.
Pick up a flag because, hey, and then with the Renegade song, even flags don't count.
They're going to get an Italian army behind them right there, just like Franco Harris.
My goodness, that is pure guts.
Give me a pepperoni roll, man.
Hi, I'm Sean Martin. I'm from Buford, West Virginia. And when I'm back home in Mercer County, you will find me at my local Par-Mar store.
We had that Golden Boot pride at Par-Mar. There are literally hundreds of Par-Mar stores in West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, and even more on the way. Download the Par-Mar app to save even more. And whether it's food, gas, groceries, or whatever, we have you covered at Par-Mar. West Virginia proud, West Virginia strong, and ready to serve you.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Three Wolves of Football. The boys from Orchard Park, the outsiders. Can I just get a fist up? Because now everybody, let's do a fist up.
We got two fists up, baby.
All right, we got two. That's where we're coming. Pony Boy started that, so I'm going to break tradition. I'm going to go Pony Boy, Ron Wolfley. Welcome. It's nice to have you here. And how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, so ready to go, man. The blood sport looms, does it not?
The blood sport looms, yes. And oldest brother, Darry, Craig Wolfley, who's sporting the I'm an average Joe guy shirt. How are you there, Craig?
I'm doing great because you know how it goes. No party gets kick-started until some fat guy shows up in a Hawaiian shirt. Boom. And let the party get started, man.
Wow.
Oh, man, that is good. Well, I'm going to say, what's going on? Is there, the two of you, Darry, I'll go back to you. Anything happening for you?
You know, we closed the show the whole year with Max Starks and myself after the Steelers, were eliminated from the playoffs. And, it's been kind of like one of those transition moments, where you're chilling out and you're just trying to get back to it. So one of the things that I did do, and I know we'll talk about this later, was I went up to John Kolb's place. I'll explain that later. But I took a jiu-jitsu class, which I have not taken in over 10 years, which I, used to have at my gym. There's a reason at 64 you should not get on the mat and roll around with guys a third of your age. Okay, that's like beyond stupid. So I get the beyond stupid thing today.
Well, that makes two things. You did that, and then you wore that shirt. So that was number two.
This shirt is a classic, baby. You gotta love it.
So let me ask you this: were you like this and all rolled up? And
that was just the warm-ups. I mean, you want to talk about being in a pretzel.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Pony Boy, go ahead. Let's find out. What have you been doing?
Well, obviously the Arizona Cardinals hired Monty Ossenfort as their next general manager on Tuesday. So I've been very, very busy with that right now, just trying to catch up on him. I love the hire. I really do. He worked for Bill Belichick, of course, and the New England Patriots for 15 years. And then Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans, of course, they wanted him. He's worked for them for the last 3 years. You guys know I have a ton of respect for Coach Bill Belichick, of course. I love my time with him for 2 years with the Cleveland Browns. I love Monty Ossenfort's background, guys. I love the teams that he comes from. I love the fact that he loves football, and he had a lot of interesting things to say, man, at that press conference. So I'm energized. It's sad on one hand because obviously, you guys know how much I love Steve and the situation he's in. And, of course,
you're talking about Steve Keim, the GM.
Steve Keim, yes,
right.
And Cliff Kingsbury being fired. You work with these guys for 4 years.
Sure.
And you know how that goes. We are very relational.
Let me ask you something, though. Ron, I mean, Cliff Kingsbury grabs a one-way ticket to Thailand and heads there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know the kickboxing's good there.
He's out there doing this. Hey.
Yeah.
I was just surprised. Were you not kind of surprised about that?
Not really. Knowing Cliff, he's definitely different. I think he wanted to go there and just kind of unwind
And nobody can bother him there.
Nobody can bother. Why set a time for when you're going to come back? Just buy another one-way back. It's not like he's not set for life. Because he is.
I got to say, that's pretty cool. And once again, he still looks good.
But why Thailand, man? Seriously, if you had one-way ticket to go anywhere in the world, I'm going to Germany, man.
Really? I'm going either
I'm going
Hawaii.
to the Black Forest.
Oh yeah, that's cool. But you know what? You can get a nice Black Forest German cake. So you don't have to worry about it. A few thousand calories, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Go somewhere where I don't know, like it's warm. Like Hawaii or something like that.
I'll tell you where I'm going to go. I'm going to go to Scotland and storm the castles.
Do you remember when you were wearing one of the Scottish
kilts?
Kilts.
Oh.
I always wore a kilt on the road when it was laundry day, and I throw, because we're on the road, so I throw my laundry in a bag, and I throw on my kilt, man. You're like, hey, I'm a true Scotsman. Walking down to the laundry room, hoping I don't bend over too far.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, exactly.
That's a bad visual right there.
You know what's funny about that? You guys just brought it up, man. You brought up Scotland and you brought up Maui, okay? Craig, you brought up Hawaii, actually.
Yeah,
Can I just tell you, man, the first time, here I am, a kid from Orchard Park, New York, and I go out there for the first time in 1986, my first Pro Bowl out there. We didn't go anywhere, as you guys know, let alone Hawaii. And I'm out there at the Pro Bowl, man. I'm sitting on Waikiki Beach and thinking this is the greatest thing in the world, And some guy comes walking by me, and I hear him speaking, and you can tell he's speaking Dutch. He's speaking Dutch, but as he walks by, guys, he's wearing the banana hammock. Did I tell you this story?
No, you did not. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Can I tell you right now?
I'm not sure we want to hear it.
He's wearing the banana hammock, walking by the Tarzan little apron in the front, and in the back, he's got nothing, man. I mean, we got one string going right down, and I was like, I could not even believe it, man. What is this place? Who walks around like that? Okay, anyways, you got me sidetracked.
Well, that's okay. You talked about your time in Hawaii, and just one thing. Darry, Pony wants his shirt back, obviously. All right, so let's get this baby started. Let's get it kicked off. We got some football to talk about. I have to do a Mulligan segment because the Mulligans, don't worry, fellas, it's not you this time. It is me. And
it is you.
Yes, very early on in the season, I was talking about Bruce Smith. And he had 200 sacks. He's the all-time leader in sacks. And then I said, well, there's nobody really even close to him within the top 30. And that's not true. So once again, my facts suck. And because they do, I have to do this to do a mulligan and kick myself in the can. But if you're looking here, you can see that Reggie White has 198 sacks. Okay, so he's only 2 behind Bruce Smith. And I had Darryl Talley on the Wolfman's call this week, so I had to do this research again. But then you had Kevin Green as the next guy at 160. Now, where I made my downfall in this whole thing of the Mulligan do-over again was that I was looking at it that nobody was actually active within 130, except for one person. And that active person is Von Miller. He has like 130 sacks. So everybody else was retired and not coming back. So that is where I made my mistake. But I had to clarify it because Reggie White, how could I dog the master like that? And of course, Kevin Green, yes.
Yeah, so let me get this right. You were wrong the first time and you were wrong the second time. Is that what you're saying?
And I'm probably a third.
You were just, whoa!
Now this is de-evolving into that what I've mentioned before, an ocean of imbecility. You know what I mean? This is what we got going on now.
Oh my goodness.
Well, if you want to see something cool, I'm going to show you cool for the next thing. And this is really important to me because this is who we are. You know, Darry, you had to lead the way. You had to lead the way. Pony Boy, you came second, so the way was a little bit traveled, but you went to West Virginia over Syracuse. I followed the both of you, and so it was a lot easier for me. But this picture right here now, this is something else right here, fellas. This is the Western New York High School game. And Darry, are you 18? This is right before Syracuse. Look at the SU helmet, man. That was before they went orange. And yep. Pony Boy, I'm looking at you. You always had that Tigers hat on. It was from the Pee Wee League. And, of course, there I am in my Buffalo Bills jersey or T-shirt. It said 36. But here I am. I'm 9 years old. You're like 14, Pony. What are you?
Yeah, I honestly, I look like I'm 12.
The years don't match it. You're 13 or 14.
Yeah, that shirt right there might actually have smelled like urine too. I'm just saying.
That was the high school All Star Game.
That's what I said.
Yes.
No, you did not declare that it was an All Star.
I said Western New York All Star. Did I not?
I don't believe so. Maybe we need that. Might be.
So is that my fourth time I'm wrong?
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
You just said high school
was listening. So
here's the point. You guys were there at University of Buffalo. We played that All-Star game, right? And you guys were jumping around, and you guys were all over the sidelines. It was hilarious, There's something about the Wolfley boys that says we have to take over a sidelines when we have a chance to get on the sidelines. You guys just rocked it the whole game.
Go ahead, buddy.
No, I was just going to say, I was on the sideline a lot. Thank you, Craig. I appreciate it.
When you were a young buck, in my days,
right.
So yes.
And just so you know, the next year, or that fall, that's August, is when I started being a ball boy for Syracuse. But the fourth year, when we went up to Orchard Park, New York, to play because the Carrier Dome was just being built for Syracuse. Archibald was knocked down. So you were traveling. And I remember at Rich Stadium, and I was the ball boy, and I got whacked by the opponent. We were playing Miami. And I got whacked, and they said, "Hey, Wolf, your brother's down on the sideline." Yeah. And you came running off the field of Division I game. I always remember this. And you're like, "Is he all right? Is he all right?" I'm like, "Hey, Craig, what's up? What's going on?" I just got hit. I bounced back up.
It was so funny because they were in the huddle, and they said, I believe there was a cardiac event had happened. A medical event happened on the sidelines, on our sidelines. And without going too deep into the weeds, I believe it was one of the equipment. Somebody said, your brother got hit and there's this cardiac event. And I was like, there was a timeout on the field and I bolted, and I never would have done that. But I thought you were in some sort of distress. And I remember running over the sidelines and you were picking yourself up kind of groggy. And you're like, I go, "Are you okay?" And you go, "Yeah, I just got wiped out on the sidelines there. It was cool." I'm like, "Oh, you turd." I turn around and run back to the huddle.
That's when we knew he was going to be a baller. That's what we knew.
I knew our boy was going to be a gamer right there, man.
The first time I've ever been knocked on my back, and it wasn't the last.
Yeah.
That was the first of some rough times, right?
I've
been blindsided a few times, for sure. What are you gonna say, Cody? I know you guys. I see you got something to say.
No, so we're not backing out of a place again. We're not doing that. Just
all right.
Just forget about that.
Okay, we're coming back to football, and in this right here, this is something I knew. This might be total failure right now, totally. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put this up here and break this play down because I think it's so cool. Now, if you look at this in the play, you're going to see it is the Buffalo Bills. And what they're doing is there's a guard, tackle, counter, quarterback, read. Some people call it a blast when it goes to the other side, but this is different. Because what you're going to see here is you're going to see the back side here to the left side for all those that are listening and can't see. You have the guard tackle pull around to the right side. You have the center and the guard tackle to the right side blocking back. It's a gap scheme. You got the tight end going out to the nickel back with a Y. But the key is this. The quarterback, Josh Allen, has got to read right here at the defensive end. Now, if this defensive end comes to Josh Allen, he's going to give the ball to James Cook coming across from the outside. Or if the end takes James Cook, he's going to follow the counter, right? Okay, let's roll it and check it out. You see here, actually that they're pulling. The guard comes across, kicks out the defensive end. You'll see here slow motion. Right there, you see the guard kicking out the D end. Tackle's coming around. Everybody on the right side is blocking back. You can see the ball handling here. Josh Allen hands it off to James Cook. He goes for the touchdown. What's really cool here is you have the 3 technique right here, and you got the 1 technique here. They're pulling the guard and tackle around, but you got a deuce here. You see this? The deuce here on the 3 technique to the strong side, and then the guard is going to come off to the weak side. You got the tight end going wide. Now, this is where it gets really cool, and what we're talking about, mixing the old stuff, the counter, guard tackle counter. Craig, I know you love this, and going with what's new with the quarterback read. Because now, look at this right here. You got the guard is going to be kicking out Phillips, the defensive end. You got the tackle coming up here for the Mike. You got these guys coming back here, and watch the read. This is breaking it down, man. This is what's cool. This is mixing the old with the new.
There's no doubt about it. You know,
look at that.
all you're
That's
doing is
beautiful.
you're blending the read option with the pin and pull counter trap. That's all it is. Because you can take that back, instead of him being on the right side, Cook, you put him on the left side and you hand off underneath because the guys just follow on the pin and pull the counter trap. Now you put him the other side, and now you got the read option going one way, or you could pull it and go with the pin and pull or the counter trap, as I call it from our era, Ron. Now they call it the pin and pull stuff. You know, you pin the front side, pull the back side, that sort of thing. But really, it's ideal for somebody like Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, for me right now, what a play. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Blend the old and the new. And the fact that he could hand the ball off in that situation if he wanted to, just by reading the end man on the line of scrimmage, it's brilliant. It really is. But you got to be able to do more than just that as well. And I love that, though. That's a great example of what I'm talking about. Now you got to change the quarterback in where he is, under center, in the shotgun, in the pistol. You got to use it all, the location of the quarterback, because otherwise, and even defensive linemen will tell you right now, when the quarterback is in the shotgun, that helps them.
Oh, yeah.
That helps them. They see the ball much better when the quarterback is in the shotgun. So I think you've got to do it all. You got to be prepared to beat your opponent in any way that you possibly can. And that means moving your quarterback around and blending the old and the new. Great job, so.
I don't want to beat my own drum, but I got to tell you, man, is that why do these other coaches why do they just get stuck in this, shotgun? Why not mix it up like Pony's saying? It just makes the defense have to work harder and study more and spend less time on what you do full time.
Well, part of it might be in the fact that you might have an offensive coordinator who doesn't want to go along with what's going on. He might have his own preferences, which I can certainly understand. If you think that your playbook is set as is, all right, that's your prerogative, okay? The more open-minded guys are understanding that you take that read option, you take the pin and pull, boy, you could blend it. Now, if I'm Andy Reid, and I've seen, you see what Andy Reid does, a bunch of different stuff. At some point in time, you're going to see this blended not just with the pin and pull and the read option, but have some sort of wide receiver come in motion so that you might have some sort of option off of that. You know what I mean? It's building one block after another, and that may be something that might be a season away, two seasons away, who knows? But the fact is, building from one play to another is very constructive and a great way to build your offensive game plan about.
Yeah, I know this. I know that running a counter is old school. I know that
Yeah.
doing that's a kick-out block, and that's a cleanup block by the tackle coming around, and that's 330 pounds coming on a backer in a hole that you just don't want to see that coming, man. And obviously, I think there's so much potential there. I just wanted to show that. The first time we tried that to break it down. Maybe we'll get a little bit more. You guys can give me some plays if you want, and you guys can break it down, although I thought it was pretty good.
That was very nice. I enjoyed that. It's good to see the evolvement of offenses, no doubt.
Yeah, so you didn't suck.
Great
Once,
point by
for
you.
once. Okay, so with that being said, someone who else didn't suck, okay, and that is Darryl Talley, who I had on the Wolfman's call, as I said earlier this week, and I talked to him about leadership. You know, he had a lot of guys in there, but I'm going to let it play. Jim Kelly, you know, Bruce Smith, you know, all your guys, Cornelius Bennett, Irvin Thomas, yeah, Shane Conlon. I mean, there's so many guys. They point you as the most respected dude in the locker room. Now, that's not the question, okay? That's just the take of it, right? But in your point of view, here comes the question. What does it take to be a leader amongst warriors on the gridiron like that?
Willing to do what you say you're going to do and make sure that everybody knows that you're going to do exactly what you say you're going to do come hell or high water. You're going to do it. And you're going to get it done in some adverse situations. And some will be easy, some will be adverse, but they know that you're going to come through. You're not going to not try to get it done.
You know, now, Pony, I'm going to start with you since you know DT as a teammate. You know, I actually said to him, I said, hey, you don't want to meet this guy in a dark alley. And Darryl said, no, you do not want to meet me in a dark alley. I mean, the guy is just amazing. I love him. He's great. He's great for football. He's great for WVU. He's great for Buffalo. What's your impression of Darryl? And then what is his take on leadership?
Yeah, let me just say the first, just looking at DT right there, my heart fills with love for a guy that took me underneath his wing. He did. Craig, you actually had a lot to do with that. The fact that you had already, you had just been drafted by the Steelers, as a matter of fact, when I went there and you played your rookie year. And DT was well aware of that, being in Morgantown, once again, only an hour south of where Pittsburgh is. And he knew that I had an older brother. And if I'm not mistaken, maybe he actually even played against you while he was at West Virginia and against Syracuse. I don't know that. Don't hold me on that one. But he took me under his wing. And my second thought is I see DT there. I just think of all the absolute frying pans to the face that I took trying to block him as a guy who was just a freshman. He knew I was a fullback at 198 pounds as a freshman. And, you know, DT knew that I had basically no ability whatsoever. And he just never gave me an inch. He made sure that I knew I was 198 pounds, and I got destroyed by him so many times. But that guy is he means a lot to this family, as you guys know.
What's your take on the leadership thing? What did he say about that? Leading all those great Hall of Famers.
Yeah, do what you're going to say you're going to do and stick to it and let your word be your bond for the most part. That was Darryl Talley. And, you know, DT wasn't a guy that was going to brag about who he was and what he was doing. He wasn't like that. He really wasn't. But inside the locker room amongst his teammates, he told you what he was going to do. He did many, many times. And he went out and he backed it up on the field. What a great football player that dude is, and a great leader as well.
You know, Darry, you know a lot of leaders. You were a leader. You've all been captains. I've been a captain. But what does DT's words mean to you when he says that?
You know, it says everything about the man. You know, the man that he was not one that was going to shoot his mouth off arbitrarily. He was not a talker per se. He might smack talk you a little. You see, I will say
on the field.
Yeah. But even then, he wasn't over the bounds. I'll say this: I don't have a clear memory of playing against him at WVU, but I do have clear memories of doing Mortal Kombat with that man. when he was a Buffalo Bill, and I have the utmost respect for who he is as a man and as a player, and all points in between. Having said all that, I always respected him because I knew him off the field as well as on the field, and I knew that he was a man of his word. And I also knew that he was one of these guys that wasn't going to sit there and be a braggadocio about the whole thing. What he was going to do, he's going to bring it. He's going to bring it every play, every single play. He was probably one of the most underrated of the monsters on that defense that they had with Bruce Smith and Shane Conlon and all the other guys that you talked about, Dale. But he was the guy that you always kept your eye on, because I remember especially one time I had to kick out to play tackle against the Bills. So it was going to be Bruce Smith, who ended up being injured for the game, but got a face full and a fist full of Darryl Talley all game long, and that was it was a battle royale. And I've come to love the man and respect the man for all he's done. He's really a superior dude. I saw him when the Steelers played at Buffalo a couple of years ago after a game, walked out and just was so fortunate to see him out there and gave him a big old hug. As only two guys, if you've been doing, like we talk about, the blood sport of Mortal Kombat for a Sunday afternoon, you come away from it with a bond amongst all of us.
Yeah.
Finish him. Finish him now.
Mutual respect for sure. Darryl Talley has 12 years with the Buffalo Bills. He never missed one game. 188 games. He's the Bills' leading tackler with 1,137. He played 14 years in the league, but he never missed a game with the Buffalo Bills. And you think about that. That's some longevity. And one other thing, Bruce Smith always says, I would have never come near 200. And then Bruce could have probably still done it to some degree, but never had the sacks, all-time sack leader ever, without Spider-Man on his side, man, because the two worked as a team. And I believe in my heart that he needs to go into the Hall of Fame, and that's the quest that I have. But let's move this along and go to another Hall of Famer, and that's Deion Sanders. Now, this is not Deion Sanders, but this is his tight ends coach, who's been in the league or coaching for a long time. He's actually been in the NFL, Tim Brewster. But this is a different style of what you see in Deion here, and I want to know, in college, can this still work?
When I say stand tall, okay, I want you bouncing out of your seat and stand tall. When I say stand tall, get your ass up. Stand tall. Sit your ass back down. Stand tall. We coming. We coming. Raise the goddamn roof. Raise the roof. We coming. We coming. We coming. We coming.
Okay, before you say anything, I'm going to go to you first, Darry. This is a team that's been perennial bad, Colorado, for the last decade. This is a team that's done really not much. Deion Sanders is saying, if you want to come here, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to jump how high. Now, there's a ton of social media going on right now saying, oh, that's never going to work, transfer portal. And I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, it's going to be simple. How much is the NIL going to pay you to go there, and what's the point? Let's face it, the money talks. Unfortunately, that's the darn thing about it. Back in the day, that was the day. That's the way things were. There was a unifying force in that room when the coach speaks, and guys bite into it and they jump to it, and you got that sort of grit. All these guys coming together. Call me old school, call me just an old man, what have you. I love that, because there was an attitude there that when you buckled up and you heard that voice and the words were spoken, man, it was like, I don't know how to put it. It was just you knew the release was on the way. And the release came when you hit that first play from scrimmage, baby, and it was on. It was awesome.
Man, I look at that, guys, and honestly, right now, it brings back so many memories. First of all, Deion Sanders. You mentioned Deion Sanders. I once missed him 3 times on one kickoff return. 3. He kept changing course and coming back. I missed him 3 times. Okay, that was a nightmare right there.
Right.
But listening to Coach in that situation, it's like a warm blanket on a cold winter's night. to me. It is. I mean, to be coached hard was not an insult to me. It was not an insult. It was the way that football was. It's what it was all. When you're out there on the field, this is serious business. It's people get hurt on the football field. People get injured on the football field. It's a dangerous game, and guys, it's played by dangerous people. It is. It's dangerous people that embrace the danger. That's what I mean by dangerous people. It's a dangerous game played by dangerous people. You get hurt on the football field. You get injured on the football field. There's got to be order. There has to be. You're talking about a bunch of hyper-aggressive alpha males that you're going to stick into this room, this locker room, and you're going to, especially at that age, 19, 20, guys, I don't know about you, but that age right there, there was a lot of testosterone going around, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's that kind of order and structure that I believe you need. Strength is not about showing your strength all the time. I'm tougher than you. I'm tougher than you. It isn't. Strength is strength under control. Meekness is strength under control. It means I could be like this, but I'm not going to be, because I'm going to under control, because I'm going to be disciplined. And that's what that drill is all about. I'm going to tell you, stand up, and you're going to stand up quickly, and you're going to, why? Because I am disciplined, and I will be able to do it under control. I recognize authority, and I don't have a problem with authority. Now, if you're on the field and you're across from me, and you think you're the authority, now you got problems.
Yeah. And you should have seen the backlash of social media.
Oh, sure.
And a guy was saying this the other day, if you're a savage out there, he's just a savage, that if you're special, that this culture is so soft nowadays that they think that's disrespectful of what discipline is. And I mean, that's how this whole country was protected, was through the military, through the discipline that they saved our freedoms. They made our freedoms.
Armed forces, men and women.
Exactly.
Let me tell you a quick story. I had this conversation with the great John Kolb, Hall of Honor recipient, all-time great Steeler, fabulous,
awesome
football player. Won the NFL strongman, placed in the top 4 in world strongest. I mean, this guy is awesome in every way. And I remember one time we had this conversation. I said, as a very young man, I said to John, I said, I don't want to be meek. And he goes, you're not understanding the word. I was like, okay. He pulls out a picture. There's this beautiful 2,500-pound quarter horse, because John's an Oklahoma cowboy, right? And this thing has got, the reins and everything else. And you can see the muscles in this beast. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's huge. It's 2,500 pounds. And those reins are being held by John's 2-year-old son.
Yep.
Right? Tanner is holding the reins. Now, Tanner's dressed in a cowboy hat and boots and everything like that. But John said, now look at this horse. This horse could kill my son at any point in time, right? But there's a meekness, there's a respect to authority, and he will not break protocol. And what he understands is authority. And the authority is whoever holds the reins. And I thought there was beauty in that. It was significant. Yes. It was meekness, is power under control.
Yes.
And that's a perfect picture.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's that's always the picture that I pictured when we talk about Jesus. The fact that there's power under control.
Oh,
you could have the power of the universe inherent in you. You are God. Right? You are the God man, right? You are the Christ, the God man.
Yes.
And yet at the same time, you bow your knee, you bow yourself to the cross. I'm sorry, not the knee, but the cross. I mean, it's amazing, just amazing.
He could have called 10,000 angels, right? He could
Amen.
have called he could have wiped out everything.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it.
Right. So
he did it.
That's a huge story. And Dale, that's a great example of what you're talking, we've been talking about, responding to that authority. And I can't help but say that there's so many young men and women out there who I feel bad for, that they'll never understand what it means to join arms, lock arms in a uniform way, such as what we've experienced in our football careers, all three of us, in unifying together with something bigger than all of us. It was always bigger than us. We were just one part, 145th, 153rd, whatever it was at what point in time in the NFL we were coming through. But it was always being a part of something that's bigger than us.
Well, that is the truth, and I had a zinger for you, but there's no way I'm going to do it after that one. That was the Sermon on the Mount, brother, and I'm going with it because I loved it. And I will say this. You had to close it up, like you said, with Max Starks, and we're going to have, hopefully, God willing, we're going to have Max out here because you both love him so much. I don't know him, but here is your last show, the beginning of it.
This is In the Locker Room with Wolf and Starks on ESPN Pittsburgh and Steelers Nation Radio. Presented by your
Everywhere, actor Matthew McConaughey.
All right, all right, all right. Gentlemen, start your engine!
Oh, yeah, there's nothing like a little Matt McConaughey to get your engine started on a Friday as we shut down the locker room for the offseason. The locker room's going dark. Max, how are you, my friend?
I am doing well this morning, Wolf. Like you said, bittersweet, right?
Bittersweet.
We would have loved to have continued this wonderful voyage all the way into February.
All right. Well, you didn't get to February, but, you did have a great year with your locker room, and you saw some really cool things with the Steelers. And go ahead, close it down.
The beautiful thing about it was that you saw a group of guys go from 2-6, highly berated in the press during that period of time, as any good Steelers fan will understand. They turned that baby around and pointed to a 7-2. And with the arrival of a young quarterback, there's a new window that's open, because anytime you get that sort of quarterback who's capable of doing the big things that I believe that Kenny Pickett is capable of doing, then you've got to start building that window, that team around Ben Roethlisberger 2 decades ago, basically. Then you start to put that money that you can use and build that team, and it's there. It's there. You got Pickett to Pickens. You've got yourself a running back. You got Najee is just had a great second half of the season. The offensive line came along. Defensively, they had a lot of growth, and it's just great stuff. And by the way, when we started with the locker room, one thing we weren't able to play there because of some contradictory rules and stuff like that. But Matt McConaughey, Start Your Engines, and then we go right to Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, baby. That was just, let me tell you, man, you want to headbutt the wall at that point. You're ready to go.
Well, that's pretty good, but I just didn't know you were on a first name with Matthew McConaughey. They called him Matt.
Oh yeah, Matt. No, you got to be a little hip. See, we got to be, you're a little, you got to have some of that hip in you, because I'm 64. I'm an old man, right? So
that's all right.
You got the Matt McConaughey, right?
Yeah, totally got that. You got a Hawaiian shirt on. So what else could you want? All right, very good.
That's how we roll.
And I'm going to go with you, Pony, on this, because we're gonna listen to you and all the hot air that you have here, because you're talking on the Wolf and Luke show about culture.
That culture based on what happens is it runs itself. It does. You get that thing up, it's like an engine, a well-lubed engine, and it runs, and it just hums by itself, because you've got a locker room filled with the type of guys that you want on your team. You got to go out and find guys that are smart and tough, but have talent. You got to go out and find him. You don't want to go out and find the most talented guy. Who's the most talented guy? That's all we care about is the most talented. No, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is go out and find a guy that is talented, no doubt, but is also smart, is also tough, dependable, accountable, mature.
Sounds like you're talking about me. Go ahead, Tony. Go ahead, Tony boy.
Yeah, no, man. It was great because that was exactly the criteria that Monty Ossenfort laid down at his press conference. The type of player he was looking for was smart, tough, dependable, accountable, and mature. Those 5 things right there. And guys, as he was talking, I'm sorry, but I heard Bill. I heard Bill Belichick, man. Smart, tough, and disciplined is what he really looked for. Now, dependable and accountable, I think that is discipline. That's what I think it is right there. But Monty Ossenfort was just laying out, this is going to be the player that we're looking for. And to me, that kind of tells me what kind of culture they're going to try to breed there. It's going to be about physicality, smart, tough, dependable, accountable, and mature football players. And he was also talking about organizational alignment. The culture of the organization was going to be right from the owner, Michael Bidwell, of course, to the general manager, to the head coach. They were all going to be exactly on the same page as to what their culture is. And they're looking for the right players at this point in time. Everybody is going to be pulled through this filter of culture. And if you fit, you're going to do well. If you don't fit, you probably better go somewhere else. And that goes for Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Zach Ertz, and every other guy that is in that locker room. So if you want your culture to work, man, you need your leaders to model that culture. You need your leaders to do that and embrace that culture first, as you guys well know.
You know, if I can, let me just jump in and just say this is what I believe when I talk to people about, you know, you hear them say, you know, wouldn't it be better just to, you know, let the season go and get a higher draft pick? No, you don't understand the power of the culture of winning in a locker room when you have that culture right. And that's, to me, generationally what the Steelers have been since the 70s, because they've had the awesome leaders through the 70s and the 80s, which even the 80s got a little light there, but then the 90s and then the new. I mean, it's all been about the culture of winning there. And that's what's so hard to establish. If you want to have a conversation, talk to Tony Dungy sometime about how hard it was to turn that culture around in Tampa, right? Yep. I mean, it was rough. It's rough. You win, and then you work for the next win. That's all you do. Your sight is just nothing more than the game right in front of you, and you don't worry about next week and the 2 weeks after and so forth. It's all about the next win. The next win was so strong, and I've told this before, but it bears repeating. And our 4th preseason game against the New York Giants, where we played the first quarter, and then we sat out. We played into the second quarter, then sat out through the second quarter, halftime, third quarter. About 4 or 5 minutes into the fourth quarter, all of a sudden Ron Blackledge comes over to us, my line coach, Blackie, right? And he goes, "You're in. Chuck wants the whole line in. You're all back in, all the starters." Are you kidding me? We're sitting out since the second quarter, and now we're going to go out and play guys that aren't even going to be on the Giants team. Chuck wants to win the game. All right. And the onus was right there. You better get this game and win it, because, you know, those guys on the other side, they know they're fighting for their lives, right? This is not some sort of walkover. But the culture of winning is always all about winning. And winning begets winning, and that's it.
And does discipline beget winning?
Well, the right kind of discipline, you know. But
thus
my point
Deion
is,
Sanders.
What's that?
Going right back to Deion Sanders.
Yes, exactly so.
They're building a winning culture.
It's that winning culture, that expectation. And you never sacrifice a game for any reason. You know, it's about winning. It's just pure and simple, that easy.
Yeah, it's, culture, man. I mean, culture is nothing more, guys, than a collection of definitive statements as well. You talk about smart, tough, dependable, accountable, mature right there. Well, you know what? If you're going to be tough, you better embrace physicality. You better. You could say culture, hey, we're going to be the most physical team in the league. That is what we're declaring. We're going to build our depth chart on the foundation of discipline. That's what we're going to do. Maybe one of your beliefs are we're going to practice the game of football hard. And if you don't believe in that, maybe you don't want to come here, because we do practice hard. Guys, that's the reason why you need smart, tough, dependable guys who are going to show up, accountable guys who are going to hold themselves accountable first before they hold anyone else, and mature.
Right. And the reason why I brought that up with Deion, and he's saying, hey, jump up, and they do it right away, is because you got to start it off somewhere. And that is the beginning. And what all these people don't even see nowadays is the discipline and the discipline in a game of violence. A game of violence. You see what I'm saying now? Is that you were talking about winning culture. Well, you're going to be accountable. That means that you got discipline. But you got to find the building blocks somewhere. I'm saying that Deion and I was just shocked that all the people didn't understand that. They're like, we're all going to do this and I'll do that, Fine. But you're not going to find yourself part of probably greatness.
That's a good point, man. That's a good point.
And so we're moving on in time here. I want to just move this on here. I've got to get to the playoffs. Is there anything, and I'm going to start off with you, Darry, is there anything that jumped out to you this past weekend in the playoffs before you go ahead and take your pick for your teams in the Super Bowl, or your teams are going to win this weekend? But what have you seen thus far?
Well, the one that really stood out to me was Jacksonville, and what a great job that they did. You look at Trevor Lawrence, this is a young quarterback. What is his second year now, or third? What is it? I think it's his second year.
Second year.
Yeah. Thank you. You know what? That's what you get from Ramnesia. You just sometimes things get a little so-so. But the fact is, they go to play the Chargers. Now, Trevor Lawrence hadn't thrown in his entire year and whatever to this year, so 2 years basically. He'd thrown 222 passes in the first quarter, never intercepted. He's intercepted 3 times in maybe the biggest game of his life so far.
4 times.
Right? Yeah, well, but 3 times in the first quarter.
Right.
Where he'd never thrown one before.
That was tough.
Right. Oh, yeah. But listen, I'm sitting there and I'm going, now, the interesting thing to me is, how does this kid respond? Because you got 3 in the first quarter, you got 4 in the first half overall. What's he going to do? This kid is something, man. He comes out. Do you know how mentally tough you got to be to face all your boys at halftime? You're just absolutely stinking the joint out, right? And not every interception was his fault. It was just some other things too. But certainly it falls back on the quarterback, as it always does,
Yes.
And like they say, he gets too much of the juice for the victory and too much of the blame for the loss, But the fact is, how that kid responded and led that team, that's what leadership is. That's when you start to understand this guy's got that little something, that magical stuff, that Terry Bradshaw, that Ben Roethlisberger, that Jimmy McMahon type of, got that little Super Bowl magic stuff that can go on, and they can pull themselves together and pull your fannies out of the fire at any time. That's to me, the definition of a franchise capable and Super Bowl capable quarterback. And I think Trevor Lawrence just showed you, with the right pieces around him and given the right circumstances, this kid's got what he needs to rise to the Super Bowl level.
Okay. No, hang on, Pony. Hang on a second, please. So who's going to who's going to win and who's going to meet for the conference championships in your mind, AFC, NFC?
Oh, right now I think it's the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are number 1 in the AFC. I'm pulling for the Bills. I want to see the Bills. I was a little disappointed in their performance a little bit there, but I still think that that you see those 2 guys in the AFC. It could be a good one.
Okay. What about you there, Pony? What stuck out to you?
Well, I would have to go with the Kirk Cousins conundrum, as we're calling it here in the Wolfley compound. I am a Kirk Cousins fan. This guy has been a quarterback for a long, long time in the league. He's done a very good job. He's posted numbers, but we all know the narrative surrounding Kirk Cousins. I am absolutely pulling for human beings to overcome obstacles in their life. It's the positive nature in me. You guys, we grew up on a dead end street that emptied into a gravel pit. I mean, I am an optimist, and I root for guys to overcome that which besets them. And Kirk Cousins, we all know the narrative. He can't win the big one, can't win a prime time game, can't win a big matchup. He's 1-4 now in playoff games. And one fell blow, Kirk Cousins could have had the opportunity to destroy that narrative against him. It was 2 minutes and 56 seconds remaining. His team was down 7 points. He had 88 yards to go, no timeouts. And man, the dude had already had a strong game. He finished the game 31-39 for 273 yards, a couple of touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown as well. And suddenly things didn't go well. And he checked the ball down on a 4th and 8 and threw it 4 yards in front of the sticks. He couldn't get it done when it mattered the most. Forget about the route depth by T.J. Hawkinson. Forget about the great tackle by Xavier McKinney. The decision to throw the ball 4 yards to Hawkinson, it's going to continue to feed the narrative that Kirk Cousins can't win the big game. That bummed me out in a big way. But that, good or bad, that was the drama that I locked in on that game, because it was a great game overall.
Okay, who you got here? Who's going to be representing the NFC? Chiefs? Chiefs, 49ers, or Eagles?
No, I got the Buffalo Bills. Is it sentimental?
No, NFC. NFC, I'm saying.
Oh, NFC, the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Over the Eagles.
I'm sorry. I would go with the 49ers, too. But it's still the Chiefs, Bills. That's going to be a big one.
Well, Bills got to get by Cincinnati now.
What's that?
Bills got to get by Cincinnati.
I know.
I mean, that's even before. Okay, so I'm going to tell you real quick, all right, before I get to the next thing. Okay, the Buffalo Bills, they dominated every stat except for the turnovers, 2-3. And just because that was their 8th game that they won in victory. And it's tough to win 8 games in a row. And you two know better than anybody in the NFL. Try to win 8 games in a row in the NFL. It's very, very difficult. That was the Bills. So that's the reason why they had a tough time. They're going to come back. They're going to come back against the Bengals. I think DeMar Hamlin's actually going to be at the game at Rich there for it. So
can you imagine how that place will rock?
Yep, for sure. And the last thing I want to get to, and I really wanted to get to this because this is for you, Darry. And tell us about the ATP.
Oh, yes. This is John Kolb's Adventures in Training with a Purpose. And what it is, it's a fundraising smoker. If you go to ATP, the website it's on there. I can't see it right now. There you go. Dale's just kind of getting ready, getting the mood.
I got the smoker out. I got it here. It is. If you want to sign up for this, okay, you got to go to Tommy Campanella, Adventures in Training with a Purpose. It's 216-702-7213. Again, 216-702-7213. And it's Tommy at adventurestraining.org. Tommy at adventurestraining.org. Now you may finish, sir.
Now, here's the thing about it. We talk about men that are larger than life. John Kolb is larger than life in my book. All right. I mean, he's just a godly man who was he was a mentor to me throughout my career with the Steelers. At one point, he was a teammate. At one point, he was a strength coach while I was there. And then he went on to become a defensive line coach for the Steelers as well. He started his own charity. And it's called Adventures in Training with a Purpose. And what he does, he takes people that the insurance industry has left behind, people that are undergoing physical therapy. And the insurance industry says, well, you're not making any more progress, so therefore we have to cut you off. And he takes these people and finishes their therapy, whether it's ALS, whether it's anything else, all sorts of things, you know, in physical therapy, the body. We have just today an officer who had just had a horrific thing happen while he was on the job, and the guy is just fighting to overcome the injuries sustained in the line of service. And, you know, I love this. And he does this for the people, and he loves on them, just like the hands and feet of Jesus, to people who are in need. And so this is a fundraiser. It's all about raising the funds so that John can continue and is able to offer his services to those who need it, especially for our armed forces, men and women, also for our first responders, you know, and our police force, the EMTs, you know, all these people, firefighters, that they are out there on the front line for us, doing things that are just amazing and far above, you know, what I'm capable of doing. And you love on these people. You're so grateful for them. And that's why, you know, I'm a big believer in Adventures in Training with a Purpose. And it's John Kolb's organization, and you can look that up, man. And
I'll put it up. I'll put up the website and everything. Yeah, I'll get it up there. And I'm going to say this, brothers. I love you, man. And again, once again, we've come to the end. Episode 19. Okay, and this is the Wolfley Boys. And Darry, I thank you for being a leader to Pony Boy and I.
Yes.
And this is a proof of the pudding because we all played in that game, and it means so much. That to me is a picture that I remember that day.
I remember that day as well, and how much joy it was.
Yep.
I do, guys. Hey, I love you. Yeah. I love you, Hoopy.
I love you, Hoop.
God bless you all, man.
You should label that picture the three amigos.
For that is what we are.
That's right.
The three wolves of football. Love you guys. Take care.
Love you, man.
Bye-bye, man.